because it's one thing to speak to a HBCU. There's a lot of pressure in and of itself. But then when you're coming back to FAMU, where everybody knows your name, and nobody will remember what you said, but I know you all will remember if I mess it up today. So when I spoke at Tennessee State for the graduation, I had a record time. It was 6.5 minutes. And I think it goes down in history as the best graduation speech ever because it was so short. So when I know if I keep it short, that kind of, condenses the amount of room I have to mess it up. But to everybody who brought their families to homecoming, I just want to applaud you because I uninvited my family one by one. Well, they didn't have the right energy. So I got on the chat with my line sisters, and then slowly we started peeling back on what kids were coming, and then finally last week my husband had backed out. I said, you are officially uninvited to homecoming. But I had this great speech that I had typed out today, and when I was getting off of the plane last night, I saw a lady and she said, I didn't even go to I didn't go to Convocation when I was a student, but my mayor is speaking, so I'm gonna be at Convocation today. You gonna get us worked up for the weekend, right? I'm like, oh Lord, that's a lot of pressure. But I was looking, I'm not big on social media, but I did see this great post. I don't know if Eric is in here. If you all have seen the 21 things to do to prepare for FAMU homecoming. And I was inspired to rewrite my speech 3 times last night. And finally sitting up here, I scratched all of that and I just started all over again. So I'm going to keep it really, really short, but to all of the elected officials, thank you all for being here. And also I have to give a special shout out to Melvin Carter, our historic mayor, we have been with each other so much this year, and it has just been amazing to have his encouragement. And I see so many of you all. I don't want to begin to call names, but I do have to call at least one more name, and that would just be the Beta Alpha chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Appreciate all of you all for being here, but I went through my list of things that FAMU did to prepare me to be the 60th mayor of Atlanta. And I was talking with someone on my team this week, and she really summarized it for me. She was talking about her experience at a HBCU, and what she said to me was when she walked in the door, it wasn't about who she was, but who she could become.
Yeah.
That's what FAMU was to me. I came in 1987. And I don't think there's probably a single classmate or line sister or anybody on this yard who thought that I would become the 60th mayor of Atlanta. But I also know that there was nobody on this yard who thought that I couldn't do it if I so desired. That's what FAMU does for you. I got in trouble once. I was at a fundraiser and I didn't realize we were in mixed company. It was hosted by some of my classmates from FAMU, and I said, the great thing about FAMU, I said, unlike some schools, you don't just come in and you're told that you're great. You work to be great. You don't just talk the talk, you do the work. And when I was done, a guy came up in his Morehouse t-shirt. I love the Morehouse. And he said, I know you were talking about us. I said, well, actually, I was talking about the 3 Morehouse men in my race. I said, but a hit dog will holler.
Yes.
Which takes me to the other lesson I learned about being a rattler. Don't expect to be given what you don't work to earn. journalism school, and I think back on Professor Wilson, and we used to have a current events quiz every single day. And you had to read the Tallahassee Democrat from the front page all the way to the very end, because he would ask a question somewhere in between. And for the first 3 or 4 tests, I thought there was a way around not reading the entire paper. So by the time I made my 4th F on that current events quiz, and mind you, the class was at 8 o'clock in the morning, it finally occurred to me that I had to get up or not stay out so late that I couldn't read the paper. And I remember Professor Wilson had me in his office, and by the end of the semester I had turned it around, and he said, you know, he said, you did work hard for most of the semester. And that semester I had an A in all of my classes except that class. He said, and I will give you an A if that's what you want, but I'm concerned that you will not have learned the lesson. And I looked at Professor Wilson, I said, give me the B. And the reason I asked him to give me the B because I knew I hadn't earned the A. And the lesson that I took from that, people are like, I was taking an A. But then you wouldn't be the mayor of Wakanda, would you? But the lesson I took from that was that I shouldn't expect anything from anybody if I don't work to earn it. And so when I entered the race for mayor of Atlanta, there were already so many people in the race, and people were saying it won my turn, and a talented 10 told me I won the one that they had chosen. The lesson I learned at FAMU is that nobody ever will outwork me. There was also this lesson in that of the value of being underestimated, because while everybody was talking, we were working. And we were pushing forward and we were moving. So when I saw Andrew Gillum on television the night of the election in Florida, I looked at my husband, I said, that's a rattler right there. I said, because while everybody else is talking, rattlers do it, and we get it done even when nobody thinks we can make it happen. I also learned the value of pledging. Not that there's ever been hazing on the campus of Florida A&M University, but I knew there was value in lifelong friendships, and I knew there was value in being committed to public service. But there were so many times during my campaign, on my hardest days, on the most brutal days, I was reminded of being online spring 1990. And I was reminded, if you just keep standing, you can make it another day. And I also knew that by spring break, the Deltas had to let us go. So there was a date certain that my pledge period was going to end. And in the same way, I knew there was a date certain that our campaign to become mayor of Atlanta would end as well. I also learned the value of being uncomfortable. I moved into Pattyfoot when there were 2 people in a room. Woo, it was tight. My roommate, Chiquita Thomas, was a night owl. I was a morning person. She was really neat. Me, not so much. But I learned that you had to get along with people, and sometimes it would make you uncomfortable, but in being uncomfortable, it pushed us outside the walls of that 100 square foot room. And it sent us out to meet people and to make friendships and to create relationships that I still carry to this day. I also learned from my friends in the School of Business and Industry. You don't always have to be the smartest in the room, but you better be the most prepared. And I love to tell the story now of when they would go to form, and if somebody had to miss it, I was the seat filler. They would put me in their clothes, their little business suit, and I would sit in the seat and I'd be marked present.
Giving them ideas. She's giving them ideas.
I also learned the value of proper planning, and I learned that just before I entered the campus of Florida A&M University when Carlos Gordon told me not to schedule my classes between 11 and 1 because that was set time. But then, there was another lesson in that, because if you, by chance, had that one professor who didn't recognize the importance of set time and scheduled your class at noon, that you had to learn to block out the distractions. But I also learned at Florida A&M University that when Rattlers engage, we make a difference across this country, and we make a difference across this world. I always knew that when I campaigned to become mayor of Atlanta, that it was bigger than me. But at some point during our race for the mayor of Atlanta, I came to realize that it was bigger than Atlanta. And that is when people like Will Packer and so many of you went on social media, and you went online and you sent your text messages and you sent your checks in and you told people to get out and vote. And for me, on election day, I went on Instagram, and I'm not a big social media person, but there was a post from Common, who went to FAMU, by the way, encouraging people to go to vote in Atlanta. There were people like Angela Ride encouraging people to go and vote in Atlanta. And I tell you, Rattler Nation, out of 100,000 votes cast for my race for mayor of Atlanta, 832 votes made the difference. And so if you think for 1 minute that your vote, your phone call, your text, your email, your social media post doesn't make a difference, look at Atlanta. And let me tell you what happens when we dare to engage. In Atlanta in January, one of the first pieces of legislation that I pushed forward was for us to eliminate cash bail bonds in the city of Atlanta. So now in Atlanta, if you are too poor to pay a bond, you don't stay in jail. We also, for the first time, put $100,000 in our budget to support HIV and AIDS support services. And then just a few weeks ago, I signed an executive order ending our city's relationship with ICE. I share these things with you because when we go to the polls, when we engage, it makes a difference in our cities, it makes a difference in our communities. It will make a difference in this nation, it will make a difference in Florida, it will make a difference in Georgia, it will make a difference across this world.
This is
So FAMU,
about the team.
my last lesson was I learned to put your money where your mouth is. And because so many of you all poured so much into our campaign for mayor, and it allows me to stand here as the 60th mayor of Atlanta, Dr. Robinson, I'm so glad that on behalf of the Keisha Lance Bottoms campaign for mayor, we will be leaving a $10,000 check today. So I don't know if I beat my Tennessee State speech of 6.5 minutes, but I do know this. Set time is upon us. And far be it from me to stand in the way of a good homecoming weekend. So I wish I could channel Dr. Humphreys in the way that I know would be a